message you when I could just text you.
That's very true.
Or pick up the phone and call you.
That's very true.
I don't get that.
So this whole conversation was centered around Joe Burrow deleting social media apps off his phone so he can be focused on the season. And my whole point was it's a part of my DNA growing up. I have friends, Key, honestly, like legit friends who don't call me, who don't text me, but we communicate via direct message.
What's
on
the
IG.
difference, though?
There is no difference. It's just an alternative form of communication. Just another way of communicating, not through text or not through calls. So, like, you become dependent upon these apps because you like their comments. It's like Facebook. Like my brother-in-law puts up pictures of him and his kids, right? So my wife and I naturally are on IG, liking stuff, DMing him. Hey, that's how it works.
That's how it works
It's
for
a
you.
communication portal. Yeah.
That's how it works
No,
for
I
you.
get it.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I get it. I have friends and family, and they do the same thing.
Just not for you.
It's
but-
so totally not for me.
But Freddie, by the time I come off the app and then I got to pull up your name, it's just why? I'm already on it. Just hits you.
Yeah, I could go right down to Freddie. Boom, text you. Hey man, what's up? He hit me. Right
Thank
back.
you. Yeah.
I don't need all.
And I have a foot
I
in
don't need
both
the
of these.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
Let me call you. I'll call y'all from my landline. Okay, that's what y'all want. I'll call you from my landline.
No, even your rotary cell phone, the rotary phone. No, we ain't that old now. We're not the Smithsonian.
You're making it sound like we were born in 1932 and we're still stuck in that. That's not it, Jay.
No.
It's just why do you feel not?
We're not doing the Charleston here.
Why do you feel the need to have to use a DM when you could just text or pick up the damn phone? I just don't understand that.
Yeah.
I'm going to communicate with you through Facebook. I don't need to communicate with you through Facebook. I can just call you.
I can't rock
or
with
whatever those apps and stuff,
I
that
know.
social media stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? Facebook is old now, right? So you don't like Facebook.
Well,
And then your excuse.
Don't take me down this path of Facebook.
And so
man.
here's your.
It's meta now. It's not even Facebook.
Yeah, it's
So
meta,
here's
yes.
your excuse,
Yes.
though. The reason you have it is so that you can look at all of your family that lives in Indiana's pictures of their kids growing up and lost friends
Yes.
from high school
Yes.
you can communicate with.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Yes.
Yes. That's why.
Welcome to the
Yeah, I
generation.
love those excuses.
Welcome to the generation gap portion known as Keyshawn J. Willa Max, presented by Progressive Insurance
I just
on
wanted to see my
ESPN Radio,
long-lost niece.
the ESPN app,
That's weird.
and now ESPN. You, by the way, click more in the lower right-hand corner and then scroll down to live radio, and bam, that's where you can find us, whether you like to text or hit Snapchat or whatever that's going to be.
Social
Snapchat.
media.
There's another one.
Social media is different than it being on your staff, but we'll get to that later.
Yes, we will, because right now, Ime Udoka, there's a lot of conversation about him, no
Transition
matter what
comment.
kind of media, social media, terrestrial media, whatever that is. The Celtics head coach facing disciplinary action, which could include a significant suspension that could be up to a year for his role in a consensual, intimate relation with a woman who is a member of the Boston Celtics staff. His job is not in jeopardy, but according to Adrian Wojnarowski, ESPN senior NBA insider, he is going to face some time away from the Boston Celtics.
Ime Udoka is facing disciplinary action with the Celtics. I'm told a likely suspension, a significant suspension for what's being termed a violation of team guidelines. Boston is still discussing what that suspension might look like. But this is a Celtics matter, I'm told. This is not a league issue. This is an internal Boston look at Udoka and this violation of team guidelines, but certainly jarring for this Celtics organization. This was a first-year head coach who took Boston all the way to the NBA Finals. But I'm told at this hour he is facing a significant suspension for what, again, is being described as an apparent violation of team guidelines.
Jay, will training camps open up for the Boston Celtics next Tuesday? That's going to be a very interesting first day of training camp for the Boston Celtics.
I mean, look, on the basketball side, there's a lot to unpack here. But on the basketball side of things, obviously, I think for a team that has added Malcolm Brogdon, they have some good pieces that you kind of felt like they were a couple of pieces away from winning the whole thing last year with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I think this is a massive loss. If he's being suspended for the year, why would it be for the year? Like, I get breaking team rules, and I'm not condoning the actions at all, but I don't think it would be a year if it was a consensual relationship. Now, the moral side of it, it's something that we can discuss later because there's people always want to go to that, right? And that story becomes bigger. But I've seen people in business who can still function and run an elite business, even though they've had some breakdowns morally with some things. That now the breaking team guidelines, I understand that. But a year, that seems extreme to me. Doesn't it, Key?
Well, it does seem pretty extreme, but I think when you talk about team guidelines, there are rules in place. And you know how I feel about rules.
I hear you.
And when there's rules in place and clear rules in place, you know, you don't want to set a precedent in an organization that we say, hey, this is what it is, and then we do something different. Now, here's what I would say. From a basketball standpoint, they bringing in players. They went to the championship a year ago. They certainly have one of the better teams in the East. You now disrupt that for a longer period of time. Now, maybe it's not a year. Maybe it's not a year. Maybe it's 2 months. Maybe it's a handful of games. I don't know. But a year, as of right now, seems a bit of a stretch because it's not. I mean, it's not one of those situations that I'm sure that the Boston Celtics have looked at and said to themselves they're going to fire him or something along those lines because of the consensual side of it, like you said, Jay. And this is the reason we even having this conversation. They're right up against it, right up against the time that they got to go to training camp. Training camp opens on Tuesday. And so they've now got to figure out who's the intern coach because the lead assistant is now in Utah. So you're saying to yourself, okay, do we have somebody on this bench that can carry this team through the course of an 82-game season? Do we have somebody like that? Or do we have somebody that can take us through a month? And so those are all the things I'm sure that they're going through this morning and trying to work out to see.
By the way, Woj says a clarification on the suspension could come down as soon as today. By the way, the assistant coaches of the Boston Celtics are Ben Sullivan, Joe Mazzulla, and Aaron Miles and Matt Reynolds. So those are the assistants on the staff. Those names don't resonate, although Damon Stoudemire is also a part of that staff. So that could be the guy, a former NBA player, a man who's been a head coach in college. Maybe he could be in line to be the interim head coach, whatever that suspension is going to be.
When did Mighty Mouse get over there?
He's been there for
since Ime Udoka took the job.
Yep.
Damon had joined him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he has head coaching experience.
The rock somewhere?
Yeah. Well, he's been.
I'm still to this day thinking he at University of Pacific or something.
No, he's not. He's
flies.
He's gone from the left side to the other side. That's what he's done, especially coaching in the NBA.
To me, that's an easy one. I'm giving it to Mighty Mouse. Let's roll. And let's figure it out.
Something like that, where having somebody who's been in the NBA game and those NBA players can maybe better equipped to handle this, which is going to be an immediate distraction from day one for the Boston Celtics, a team that made the NBA Finals last year. But nobody will be talking about that next Tuesday when they open up camp, when it gets to the start of this year. With Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, Freddie coming in for Max Kellerman, on Keyshawn, Jay, Will, and Max. And we're going to use the word plus when it comes to Steelers versus Browns tonight and 2 other NFL games on a big NFL game weekend.